Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of What Do You Mean You've Never Seen, a podcast that explores and analyzes prestigious and popular films that one of us has never seen before. I'm your host, Jonathan Colon, and I'm joined as always by my co-hosts, Jennifer Branch.
Hey, everybody.
And Max Abelman.
Hello, everybody.
Joining us this week is our special guest host, Emily Carragher. Hello, Emily.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited. Hi, everyone.
Thank you for joining us as we discuss this week's film, Blade Runner.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, before we get started, what do you want to tell the folks at home about yourself, Emily?
Well, I think the most important thing for everyone to know is that I am a big movie fan. At the end of the day, I just love movies. I've had the lucky experience to work on them, and I got my degree technically in screenwriting, but I'm here as a movie fan and a good friend of you guys because we work for the same company, which I'm not going to actually mention, but it is a prominent French-Canadian circus troupe based, well, our show is based in Orlando.
In Orlando. We work with Emily, and we are very excited to have her here because she is like one of our favorite people that we work with.
Mm-hmm.
I paid him to say that.
I paid him to say that.
We both paid him to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you two are my two favorite people to work with.
Because we both pay you?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
And if anybody else wants to
Yeah.
pay me, go right ahead.
All right.
They'll be Jonathan's new favorite.
Oh, yeah. Patreon link below.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are talking about Blade Runner today.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting one because myself, Jennifer, and Max have never seen this movie before.
Are you serious? I was the
No.
only one that had ever seen it?
Yeah.
Not only have we not seen it, we knew nothing about it.
Are
I
you
was
kidding?
unaware of what it was.
All
Yes.
I knew was Harrison Ford. That's literally all
I
knew.
didn't know that.
What?
Of the four of us, Emily is the only person who has seen this movie before
I mean, I
this
picked
week.
this movie specifically because I love this movie, and I just figured that at least one of you guys would be like, yeah, it's the best.
Never
No,
seen
never
it.
seen it.
Oh my God.
All new. And like Jennifer said, knew nothing about it. I mean, not nothing, but
Right.
I knew nothing.
I mean,
The bare
Future,
bones.
and then, I know it's got like a huge cult following. I knew that.
Yeah.
And I know that I said on the preview episode, if you Google the name of this podcast, what do you mean you've never seen? A meme pops up that says, what do you mean you've never seen Blade Runner specifically?
Yeah.
So it's been definitely
gotta
on
beat
our
them
radar
out.
since we started this podcast.
Maybe I
Yep.
just assumed that like everyone has seen this movie, but really,
See, that's the point of the
it's
podcast,
not.
though.
Yeah. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
so we are going to be talking about this movie that three of us have never seen before.
But you watched it already.
But we've watched it.
We
yeah.
have
We did
watched
watch
it.
it for this.
We watched it for this podcast.
Oh, thank God.
All right, moving on. The movie Blade Runner was released in 1982 originally, directed by Ridley Scott.
Is he the same guy from Alien?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Alien, Gladiator, lots of big, huge hit movies.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Starring Harrison Ford, Rutger Hauer, Sean Young, and Edward James Olmos. It was written by Hampton Fancher and David Peoples, based on the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. One of the most unfortunate names of a public person ever.
Now, did you know who Philip K. Dick was before this?
No. I still
Yes,
don't know who.
I've actually
he
read
is
short
now.
stories by
I still
him.
don't know
Okay,
who that is.
Yeah, I knew the movie was based on a story of his. I didn't realize it was a full-blown
Novel.
book.
Yeah, okay.
I thought it might have just been a short story. This movie has a tremendous amount of cultural significance, particularly amongst sci-fi fans. And also, what it's famous for is that there are like 8 versions of it out there in the world.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It was heavily edited when it was first released. They added narration by Harrison Ford when it was released in theaters that everybody hates, including Harrison Ford. And any interview you read about him talking about this movie, he says that
Did you know what he said? Exactly what he said?
I've heard a couple of different statements he's made, but they all boil down to the narration was really shitty. And there's a rumor that he tanked the narration on purpose. And he said, no, I did my best. It's just that it was really badly written.
He said, quote, it was written by clowns.
Oh.
Shade by Harrison Ford.
And I
Justice
feel
for clowns.
I feel I have to say, as a clown, professional clown, I need to stand up and say, wait a minute, you cannot use clown as a derogatory term. Clown actually means someone who's a highly specialized, very skilled person. So yeah, that's
How
automatically.
dare you, Harrison Ford?
I was a little upset.
Explain yourself, sir.
Yeah. that was upsetting.
Yeah, we're going to need Harrison Ford to come on this podcast,
Yeah.
as he famously loves doing interviews. We're going to want him to talk
Especially
about
with us.
that
100%
clown
will
statement.
do that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
sure. I mean, he's probably on his way over here right now.
In his plane or whatever it is he flies. Helicopters? Planes? Something like
Yeah,
that.
he has a plane. He'll probably land it
Yeah.
in front of our house. It's very popular among sci-fi fans. It has a lot of mystique around it, I think, because it's been re-edited and re-released so many times. Like I said, there was a US release, was different from the international release, and then around the 90s, there came a director's cut, which wasn't actually a director's cut, but it was advertised as a director's cut, and the
Where
version...
they just like, we can't get it right. We're just going to keep trying.
Yeah,
Is
we're
that
gonna.
what's happening?
Yeah, they took the narration out of that version and added a couple of things in that had been cut out of the U.S. and international releases. And then around 2007 is when the final cut, which is what we just watched on
Okay.
HBO Max. The final cut was released with Ridley Scott's complete participation. They even got Harrison Ford to come and do some interviews that he loved so much and released a bunch of special features on the DVD.
They refilmed Joanna Cassidy too, and she fit into her costume.
That's crazy.
25 years
crazy.
later.
Joanna Cassidy, for those of you who don't know, is famous for being in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
I'm right on top of that road.
And when we watched this movie, I
Our
was shocked
favorite.
when she took her hair down, and I was like, is that Joanna Cassidy?
Oh yeah.
Are we right on top of
The
that,
whole
Rose?
movie, I just want to be like, I'm right on top of that, Rose. I'm right on top of it.
And she gets killed.
She's also the woman in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
Yes,
she's
she
the
is.
bartender
She plays-
lady, Dolores.
Dolores. Thank you.
She's always going to check the probate.
Yes.
That's her main function in that story.
She
So, yes.
finds out about the red car.
So-
We're not talking about that movie today.
Sorry,
But that's a good
sorry.
movie. If you haven't
I
seen
was
it,
just like,
go
oh,
check
that's
that
right.
movie
That's
out.
also her. That's cool.
Yeah, so she gets killed in this movie, but she gets to do more important things in other movies. So that's
She's
good.
great. I love her.
She's the best. The final cut is what we watched. It's what's available on Amazon. It's what's available on HBO Max. The plot of the final cut of the movie is centered around Rick Decker, who's played by Harrison Ford. He's an ex-police officer who specializes as a Blade Runner. Now, in the opening crawl of this movie, they tell you that scientists have invented replicants, which are robots that look like humans, and over time they've become more and more advanced, look and behave and feel more human. There was some kind of a revolt because they were used as slave labor to build
Off-world
colonies for humans, and there was some kind of an off-world revolt. Replicants are now illegal on planet Earth, and the Blade Runners are specialists who hunt down and retire or kill these replicants. So the basic story is a group of replicants has managed to smuggle themselves onto Earth. The law enforcement, whoever they are, I don't think it's the LAPD, but whatever law enforcement agency that used to employ Rick Decker, brings him back on board through some mysterious means. It seems like they're blackmailing him, but it's never
they
really
don't
explained.
explain that.
Yeah, they were just like, you have to.
You have to shadily come back and do our bidding.
And
Yeah.
Harrison
And,
Ford
like,
was like, but I'm not going to. And they're just like, you don't have a
to.
choice.
And he's like,
And they're like,
oh, okay.
and I was like,
I
are
hope
they
he's
going to
getting paid.
explain
Nope, and
why
that's
he
the end
doesn't
of
have a
it,
choice?
and he just does
That's
it.
No, you just don't have a choice.
Yeah, so there's something in his past that they're like lording over him, who knows what. So he investigates the appearances of these people. He tracks them down one by one and kills them one by one until he gets to the last one, who's played by Rutger Hauer, is the leader of the group and the last survivor of the group. Rutger Hauer, famously the Mads Mikkelsen of the 80s. If you needed someone to
a
be
really
vaguely
good way to
threatening
say him.
and also have sort of a foreign accent, but not really, you go for Rutger Hauer in the 1980s.
Jonathan, I don't get that joke.
I don't
who
either.
were you referencing?
Mads Mikkelsen.
I don't know.
I don't know who that is.
Well, apparently we need to show Jennifer a bunch of movies that have Mads Mikkelsen in it.
Okay, I don't really know either.
But he was the
the guy
father
that's-
in Rogue One.
Oh,
He played...
a Star Wars thing.
and he most recently, he was the replacement for Johnny Depp
Yeah.
in The
Yeah.
Secrets
Oh,
of
okay.
Dumbledore.
That I did see. Okay.
He's like that tall European, very handsome.
But
Yeah.
also very sinister.
But also, he also
Yeah.
has this kind of like really sinister look
Well,
to
that
him.
guy reminded me of whoever plays the blonde kid's dad in Harry Potter. What's the?
Oh, Malfoy's dad?
that's what.
Lucius
That's who
Malfoy.
Lucius
that was the vibe
Malfoy.
I was getting off that guy.
You know, it's funny how the bleached blonde on a male automatically links you to like
Evil.
sinister deeds.
Yeah,
and,
don't
Yeah.
dye your hair bleached blonde, guys.
but on
out
a
there.
woman,
Don't
it
do
means something completely different.
They're
Yeah,
more
and
angelic.
especially in the future, if you have bleached hair,
Yeah.
no. You're obviously
On the wrong
going to kill
side.
someone.
I like how that's what they thought they could hide as humans. Oh, we'll just bleach our hair and we'll look like standard human.
Yes. So the film eventually leads to a confrontation between Rutger Hauer's character and Harrison Ford. Rutger Hauer's character makes a little speech and dies on his own because his life cycle is ending. And what he's on Earth to do is to try to get to his creator to have his life extended, because these replicants are designed to only live for 4 years. The creator's feeling is that if they live longer than that, they're eventually going to acquire their own emotions, their own thoughts, and they're going to rebel against their creators. So Rutger Hauer wants to extend his life. He finds out that he can't, and then he eventually dies. And then Harrison Ford meets up with Sean Young's character, who you've seen throughout the movie is a more advanced version of the replicants who believes that she is human. And he sort of tells her, no, your memories aren't real. You're not actually a human. You're just a more advanced android. And there's a whole identity crisis that goes along with that.
Yeah, and then he says, LOL, JK. Do you want a drink?
And then he forces her to kiss him.
Yeah, that scene went away. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Keep on going, Jonathan.
So that's the
Keep
basic
on,
plot of
let's
this
just
movie.
Keep on going.
And also, it takes place in the year
2019,
which
that
we
was
are now
wild.
3 years past.
Wild.
Fine
That
cars.
blew my mind.
I did once have one of those umbrellas though, with the light
Those
up.
umbrellas were dope. That was my favorite thing in the movie.
And it
I
was
like,
a nice
I want a light
umbrella.
up umbrella.
It was a nice umbrella because it
Like
did
a
light
golf
your
umbrella,
way.
like a good one.
It was a good,
Yeah.
and it did two things at once. It kept you dry, and it also lit up, so it was
Well,
cool.
this whole movie is nighttime and raining, so
Yeah,
you
this-
need
Yeah.
a light up umbrella
I did-
to
it was
very
survive
wet.
this dystopian future. It's just wet and dark all the time.
I do have a note that's just, why is it never daytime here?
Yeah, it's
And the
like London.
And the one time where you do see the sun in this movie, they're just like, the sun's too bright.
It's like
Block
dusk
it out.
because it's like the sun's coming right into the room. The sun is setting, so
Yeah.
it's like the sun only sets and
Yeah.
then it rains and then it's nighttime.
Yeah.
There's no morning.
No, the morning comes never. Let's talk about what we knew about this movie prior to this watch. We're going to talk to the new viewers, including myself, and we're going to find out what you knew about the film and its plot prior to your viewing experience. And then we're going to talk to Emily and see what she thinks having rewatched it after having watched it before. But first, I want to hear from Jennifer. What did you know about the movie? What did you think the plot was? And did anything surprise you about it?
So as I said, nothing. I knew nothing about this movie. I watched it and I still feel like I know nothing about this movie. I was very confused. The fact that the year was 2019 blew my mind. I was like, what's going on? I didn't know what city they were in. I didn't know a lot of what was going on. I have a lot of questions that maybe are unanswerable, but yeah, I was surprised by most of it because I had no idea what was going to happen.
How about you, Max?
Oh yeah, I had no idea. What I thought I knew was that this was going to be like an action-y action movie. And that is not what I got at all. It started pretty much right off the bat being like one of those sci-fi existential crisis movies, like sort of a Clockwork Orange, this is not a movie sort of type deals. I also haven't seen Clockwork Orange, come to think of it. But yeah, that's
Are
on the
you
list.
kidding
Actually,
me?
is it on the list? We'll figure it out.
It's one of those that I'm like, it's very problematic.
Yeah,
So
it's a thing.
there's a lot of ugly stuff in that movie.
Yeah, but still haven't seen it. Yeah, I had no idea what I was in for, and yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
Well, I knew that it was about Harrison Ford hunting down human-looking robots. I thought Sean Young was more of a femme fatale character, like she was going to be involved in
Well,
the...
she kind of looked like she was. Like her
yeah,
whole
well, she
vibe
looked
looked
super,
that
and she
way.
looked super 40s.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I guess in 1982, people thought people would be dressing like they were in the 40s in the 2010s. I thought that she was going to be more involved in the plot with the other replicants more than she was. It turns out she literally has no interaction with those folks at all. We only see her truly interacting with Harrison Ford's character.
Well, she kills one of them, doesn't she?
Well, yes, she rescues
Yeah.
him
Yeah,
by
but doesn't
she picks
like-
up his gun and kills
Yeah.
one of the guys that's about to kill him. That's true. But
doesn't
other than
have, like,
that,
a
it's,
conversation with
there's
them.
no crossover with her plot and their plot.
Right. Well, it seems like they're all in cahoots with each other, and
And she's not
a
involved
part
at
of
all.
it.
Yeah. And I did not know that DARYL HANNAH was in this
Me
movie.
neither. That surprised me too.
And when I
was
first
so
saw
excited.
her-
I was like,
DARYL
Annelle,
HANNAH.
is that you?
I was like, that looks like if Annelle became a prostitute. I said to Max as she came on screen, I was like, "Is that Daryl
She
Hannah?"
was like a cross between Annelle and Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, who was also
Truly.
in Steel Magnolias.
She had a very similar looking jacket to the one that Julia Roberts wore.
She almost had a futuristic version of that same outfit on.
Yeah, and then Joanna Cassidy. I was like, well, that looks a lot like Joanna Cassidy. But it feels like this movie was too early for her to be in it, or she was already too old to be playing that kind of a character then. I don't know
Well, and
what
I've
I
never
thought.
seen this movie, but she also reminded me of whoever that girl is in Weird Science. That's what it reminded
Kelly
me of,
LeBrock?
right? Does she look like her a little bit?
Yeah, and she didn't talk very much. It didn't sound like her, but then
Right.
when she took her hair down, I was like, oh, that looks like...
She was not right on top of that rose. She was not doing
on
her
top
on
of
top of
that.
that rose. She has so much range. Who knew?
Yeah, and
And that was her real snake.
it was her own snake.
That was her
Own
pet
snake.
snake.
Wow.
That's why she had no problem working with it.
Well, that's good.
Well, I was just, anytime I saw the snakes, I'm like, Harrison, are you okay? Why did it have to be snakes, you know?
Why did it have to be
Never at
snakes?
once even considered that, but that's really funny.
That was the first thing I thought. I was like, snakes? Oh no, what's going to happen?
Because he's already such a wuss. I mean, that's like the whole thing about the movie for me, is that it's a noir film. So
Yeah,
A little bit.
it's definitely not a Harrison Ford type character. And,
No.
you know, I don't know whether to be impressed or disappointed in his performance because it was
Very subdued.
so lacking in charisma. And although we know
Yeah.
that Harrison Ford is like a super chill, smokes weed all the time type of guy, he is incredibly charismatic in most movies that he's in. Even when he's playing a regular character like in Working Girl, somebody who's not the hero of the story.
authoritative figure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's usually incredibly charismatic and fun to watch. And he wasn't very fun to watch.
That's
This
why
reminded me-
this movie's so important, is because it's a true noir film where the hero isn't really the hero. The bad guy you kind of understand. And the women the women look like they're going to be super powerful, end up not being, and they end up being like little fragile flowers half the time.
Right, right.
So that's what I knew about this film already. I knew that this was a great example of a sci-fi noir, and I think that's why I've always appreciated it. In college, I would watch this movie all the time, and it would make me feel like it's okay to drink whiskey in the rainy night. It's okay to...
I did like those square whiskey glasses.
I
Those
love
were
these
cool.
glasses.
Aren't
I
they
wrote that in my
cool?
notes. Those were cool glasses.
They were super cool, and I remember thinking it's okay to not really know if you're the hero or the bad guy, or you know what I mean. Like it was kind of like one of those blurred lines narrative, which I really appreciated,
That's cool.
and it didn't make me feel like I was bad for drinking whiskey all the time.
Since you are our only repeat viewer, is there anything you can tell us about previous viewing experiences? Like, have you watched the other versions of the movie?
Well, it's funny because a coworker of ours is also a big film nerd, as we are, and he and I have also spoken about this film because he owns, I think, 6 copies of the different cuts of the movie, and we've talked about the different ones and things like that, and I honestly don't think I have seen more than just what's called the final cut.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think I've seen the narrative version. I don't think I've seen the one that came out after 2007 where they like put Joanna Cassidy's face on the new stunt woman to make the glass shattering look better. You know, like they did a bunch of stuff 25 years later that I haven't seen, and I would love to see it because I watched the new movie, the
2049.
the 2049, and that is a gorgeous, well-made film that I really appreciated. And it kind of made me go back and want to rewatch the original.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No.
Well, for any of you listening at home who've seen the other versions and have thoughts on the changes that were made for this, we'd be happy to hear from you. You could always send us an email at what do you mean you've never seen at
Well, I'm going to ask our work
gmail.com.
colleague and see what he says.
Yeah.
Because he probably has, I would hope, some more concrete answers about the differences between them and why they worked or why they didn't.
Yeah, I feel that having watched it, I mean, again, this is an edited version that some of the scenes are changed or different from what was originally released anyway. But I was watching it and thinking to myself, God, I'm glad there's no narration to this.
Oh my God, right?
I don't-
Totally unnecessary.
The plot is not
yeah.
that complicated.
And it's not
not.
like anything really ridiculously crazy ever happens. It's a
No.
very simple plot.
Yeah.
Like this happens, then this happens, and then they meet, and then this happens.
Yeah.
It didn't need anyone talking over rainy sequence. That would have ruined it for me.
Yeah, no. And it takes its time, too. It's not like it's rushing through everything. You have time to figure everything out if you need to.
It's just beautiful.
It is.
It's just yummy, that movie. It's just the shininess that goes to it. The way that he got the replicant eyes to glow. You know, like that whole world is so attractive.
Yeah, there's great eye work in this movie.
There's
Oh, yeah.
too much eyeballs for me.
Was
That
there
was my
enough-
first note.
Was
too
there
many
enough
eyeballs.
eyebrows?
The eyebrow. Well, I like when Daryl Hannah Hannah kind of painted hers on. And I feel like when I saw her in that look, I know I've seen this at maybe cosplay sort of situation. I was like, this is what people are doing. Because I was like, that looks familiar to me.
Big time.
The makeup look reminded me of Natalie Portman in Black Swan.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Oh.
She kind of does the painted on black mask on the white face.
What about Julia?
But the Julia Fox. I'm a big fan of eyebrows. I do not like eyeballs.
Yeah.
And there was too many eyeballs in this and too many
Literally.
people sticking fingers in people's eyeballs.
Oh, yeah.
And I was very disturbed by the amount of eyeball work in this movie. So thank you.
See, I did like that blacked out eye look, but I did not like seeing it happen. I don't know. It's one of those visceral things for me where I'm a horror movie fan. I don't care if I'm seeing like people's legs get broken or like gut stuff, but seeing someone just like
airbrush black over their eyes.
I'm like, don't do that.
That was
Please
creepy.
don't do that.
No,
Please do not do that.
You're not supposed to do that on yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to our next segment because we have so many more things to share.
My goodness.
So we're going to go to what was it like to watch? We want to hear from each of you your thoughts and impressions on the film. Was it an interesting watch and what stood out about it? And your thoughts about the length, the pace, the action. Again, we can only talk about the final cut because it's the only one we've watched. So if you're looking for information on the original theatrical release, maybe someday we'll do that version, but
we'll see.
Not anytime soon. So we're going to hear from our guest first. Emily, what are your thoughts and impressions on this film? What else do you like about it? What else do you love about it? And is there anything you hate about it?
You know, the thing that I most love about this film is the way that it feels both very old and very new. In the way that it's set in the future, but it's set in what we thought the future would look like, which is hilarious.
If only we'd known how much worse it would get.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I really like that timeless quality because the hair and makeup are styled in a certain way. The production design is styled in a certain way. And the aesthetic of the entire film is just really, really wonderful to enjoy. Everything about it, I think, is very stylized and enjoyable to watch. I like the composition. The pacing for me is great because, like I said, not really too many things actually happen in the course of the story. And they happen very, very concretely. There's no flashbacks. It never jumps in time. I just like the idea of the story going forward, and that's it.
Yeah,
and then
it's
where
very linear.
It's very linear,
good.
and when it leaves me feeling very hopeful. I feel like the music for this movie is incredibly hopeful in a weird way.
Yeah.
How about you, Jennifer?
Well, I definitely kind of like Max thought it was going to be more of an action movie. It's really kind of not. There's not very much running for him being a Blade Runner. I still don't know what a Blade Runner is, but
And at one point you thought we were doing The Running Man. You thought the plot of The Blade Runner was the plot of Running Man.
That's a fair misconception. I
Here's
totally
the
do
thing.
that.
I confused this movie with Total Recall. I confused it with Running Man. I confused it with Time Cop. I have like 8 movies in my head that I maybe thought was this movie. None of them were correct.
Oh yeah, this movie is
But
definitely
Recall was
like
also based on a Philip K. Dick story.
We're going to probably do it sometime on this podcast because that's the movie I thought we were watching and wasn't it.
I'd say for me this movie
I knew that movie has Arnold Schwarzenegger and I knew this movie didn't. That's about the only thing I knew.
I'd say for me this movie is like a Blade Runner, Maze Runner, whatever sort of a mind jumble
he wasn't
of
running
what is
and
it?
he wasn't on rollerblades.
Yeah.
So right there I was, this is not the movie I thought
It's
it was.
about a roller derby.
So,
it's great.
it wasn't as much action as I thought it was going to be. There was a lot of kind of just sitting in the room and talking and drinking, and he continually says, I have questions for you, and then proceeds to ask 0 questions. Like, these are statements, not questions. That's not a question. You just said a thing. That's not a question. As far as the pace, slower than I thought it was going to be. Not too slow, but just wasn't an action movie like I was kind of expecting.
What about you, Max?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the pacing was a bit slow for my taste, but it was really good. You know, even the stuff that's bad about it is kind of fun and just good to watch. Why is everything in LA Chinese? Why is that a choice?
So this was LA? I didn't even get that. I didn't know what city they were in. I thought maybe they were in Beijing for a while, but then
they're in LA.
They're like Chinatowns. I was like, I thought they were already in China. I was very confused.
Oh my God, what would
they're
Chinatown
in
in China
okay,
look like?
I didn't know. Didn't know that it was supposed to. And then I thought maybe it was like San Francisco, but like at no point did I think it was LA. So that's news to me. Thank you.
Yeah, it's LA, but when you go outside, everything is Chinese for some reason and has Arabian music playing over it or whatever. Just why? There's just so much. There's zoom and enhance. Oh yeah, that's great. Let's get a Polaroid of that. Why is it a Polaroid? Why? It's like it's like some of those things where it's just like they're just making the goofiest, funnish choices and they're just going for it.
I don't get why they had to make fake snakes. They're like, is that a real snake? No,
Because all the
obviously it's a
animals
fake
have died in the future.
Oh,
We've
okay.
killed all the animals in
Why
the future.
why bring back snakes? What
I don't know.
purpose does
I
that
think it was supposed to
serve?
be like because it was sort of Arabian themed or something. They were doing
Okay.
like a little snake
Oh, her
dancing,
dance of Salome.
charming
Yeah.
show sort of a deal. I don't
gotta
know.
say,
I
the
didn't
I didn't
get
really
that.
get
The
that.
way that they announced her, I don't remember the exact words, but
It's a little problem.
my thought process when they announced what she was doing in her act,
Yeah.
is this snake gonna have sex with her?
Yeah.
I think
Or-
that's
what
what
it
they're
sounded
hoping.
like to me.
That's kind of probably what they're hoping for.
I was like,
Like,
ooh.
get another
And-
drink, everybody.
Yeah,
Here we
I
go.
didn't know
then
if
when
it
he
was
comes
like
in to
that
ask-
Britney Spears video where she's
Yeah.
dancing
No.
with the I didn't know what was going on or why the snake was fake. I didn't understand it.
Yeah, our whole journey to discover Sparkle Tits, I don't actually know what her character name
Zara?
is. Okay, sure.
Or Zora? I don't
yeah.
know. Zorro?
I've been calling her Sparkle Tits in my head. But you don't get to see her tits sparkly. She has to wash them off first. Before then, it's just like, no, we're gonna do a classy little shot. First, let me wash the sparkles off. Finally, no sparkles. Let's go tits out on this one.
That is
Yeah.
weird, yeah.
Yeah, it was very strange.
I was like, oh,
Another
they're not showing her.
yeah.
They're not showing her breasts.
They were being very classy about
it's
it, and
classy,
then she
and then
washed
she
all the
walks out
sparkles
and-
off, and then it's suddenly like, "Hey, everybody!"
Yeah.
Like totally different movie.
And why
from
does she
now.
wait until after she showers to try to kill
Yeah.
him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why
I don't know why.
Obviously,
Why
she
would
was
not need
trying
to take a shower
at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't feel, you feel a little grimy.
So
you want to
before-
get the
a little
snake
bit.
skin
So
off.
before
yeah.
you
Yeah.
try to kill someone and jump through a bunch of windows,
Yeah.
at least she died clean.
Yeah, I don't really
She
know.
rinsed all
And
the sweat
honestly,
off.
I don't really care because I didn't really get why we went on that journey in the first place. How
Why
we
did
got
she
there,
put
like the entire
a clear
thing.
raincoat on?
Yeah, that
Like that's
clear
gonna cover up that
raincoat.
outrageous outfit she's wearing.
She
That was
throws
my
on
favorite.
a clear raincoat, and I'm just like, why?
blend
Yes,
into the-
go, just
Like
run
that's
around.
gonna make me look like
Go
everybody
off.
else on the
Yeah.
street tonight.
No one
like,
else was
what?
wearing one. They were all wearing very
You
thick
know what?
wool coats.
And you know what? I don't even care because it looked great to be shot a couple of times and just like running down the street.
Oh, yeah, you can
clearing.
see the blood.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care. I don't really care why they did anything in this movie because it was great to watch the results of whatever. I don't really even get how we got to that point with Snake Lady. I don't
Good
really.
old fashioned detective.
There were a lot of steps to that journey just to get to Snake Lady, and I don't really understand why or how we got there. I think I just missed something in the beginning of that where that got him on the trail where I'm just like,
Oh, he
okay,
found the
that's
snakes.
what we're doing.
He-
Yeah.
And the guy.
But there was
the
also
guy
like
that-
a picture that he was zooming
Yes, and then he was
in.
looking at the picture and he found the picture of the lady.
Okay, yeah. I
So
don't
was that
really know
her?
how-
That was detective
Yeah,
work
that was her.
in
No.
2019.
I don't really get how we got all of those clues. I don't know. It doesn't matter that much. I just had a good time.
I think he went to the hotel that Leon had been living in.
Yeah,
That
that did
hotel
happen.
was so gross. I
It
think
was
I
gross.
dropped
Everywhere
in.
was
I
gross.
wrote down the Leamington. Is that you? Shout out
All right.
Leamington Hotel in Miami. Do not sponsor us. No, thank you.
No, I mean if they're even still in business.
This was the worst hotel we've ever seen.
Ugh.
That's
Yeah.
a story for another day. But that's what that hotel reminded me
Yeah.
of.
One of our behind the scenes episodes will go into the Leamington story. So join our Patreon so that you can hear all about the Leamington in Miami. What I really took away from this movie, so many things. The fact that they had real life people playing the toys in
That was
Sebastian's
creepy.
house.
That was very
And
cheesy.
also-
Bang Bang, right?
choice.
That reminded me of
Also,
Cheesy Bang Bang.
all you young people may not know this, but if we have any older listeners, the fact that Sebastian was Larry from Newhart was amazing to me. I'm Larry, this is my brother Daryl, and this is my other brother Daryl. And I knew from his voice, I was like, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? And it didn't hit me until 30, 40 minutes in that he was on this weird sitcom for the 80s when he played one of three brothers, two of whom were named Daryl, and Daryl did not speak. He was the one that always spoke for them.
What was the name of the show?
Newhart.
It was Bob Newhart.
Bob.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Bob Newhart show.
Well,
No,
So,
well, the
it was
Newhart
the
from the
second
80s,
Newhart.
which was the one where
Oh.
he ran the inn, and at the very end, spoiler alert, it turns out it was all a dream.
Shut
and,
up.
And the last scene, and you can watch it on YouTube. It's
so
fantastic.
good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
The last scene he has a different wife, like a whole different life, different cast of characters.
It's not
He's a different
related
person.
to his other show at all. He's a completely different character. Like,
And at the very end, again, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the show that came out in 1990, he wakes up in bed with Suzanne Plachette, and the whole series was a dream. So talking about dreams of Electric Sheep, yeah, that'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But yeah, if anyone wants to check that out, you can watch the final scene on YouTube, and it's so good.
is a genius. He's the best.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, the Sebastian guy was on that show playing one of these three mountain men where only one of them talked. So that was pretty cool. I loved the square whiskey glasses. I kept thinking, man, I would love to be able to just pull out a bottle of whiskey and drink while I'm at work.
Right? He's like working the whole time, and well, that reminded me of
Imagine.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit too, when he's got.
Well, they're
Bob
both
Hoskins.
detectives.
Yeah,
They're both.
yeah.
That's the whole. That's the whole vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only part that confused me about the plot really was, I agree with Max that to a point, the whole situation with Zara, and her name is Zara Salome, I looked it up. The whole situation with Zara, the resolution of it came too quick. It didn't really make sense to me that she figured out that he was onto her, and he like was working with this high voice. It
Oh,
was really
I
weird.
God, that voice is
Oh,
great.
that was weird.
It was really weird to hear
Character
Harrison
work.
Ford talk like that.
Voice. What difference does that make?
It's
That
not
was
like
an
she knows what he
odd
sounds
choice.
like.
Yeah.
Like,
if he
oh, she's
sounds
gonna recognize
if
him
his
by his
voice
voice.
is too low, he's
Yeah.
gonna know. She's gonna know I'm a Blade Runner.
And then he
Yeah.
drops that accent for a second and then picks it right back up again. and I'm
That's
just
where
like,
I think
boy,
she's like,
what are you
oh,
doing?
who is this
Yeah.
dude?
Yeah, so
Yeah, what a choice that was.
Yeah.
I didn't really follow the movie's logic on that whole situation. I'm like, I understand how he got to that point. I don't know how he knew that she was a replicant just because he found the snakeskin in the other guy's house or because he saw the picture of her. But, you know, I guess he's smarter than I am.
I guess.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But the other thing the only part I didn't really understand or didn't know what was happening was I didn't know what happened to Sean Young's character after they hooked up in his apartment. Like I feel like there was a scene missing.
Yeah, doesn't he
Yeah.
find her in the bed
He finds
later
her there
on?
again, but like
He's like,
between
you
that
stay
scene,
here. I'm gonna go run some errands real quick.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
between-
blade running part of
between
the blade
that
running.
scene
Yeah. she
and
just
when he
went
finds her in the bed, I had no idea where she went. It's
Yeah.
like she just disappeared from the movie. They didn't explain that she was still
Well, she
there
was
or
hiding
anything.
out. She's
Yeah.
hiding out in his apartment.
Yeah, she had to update. It took a little while.
She had to download
Yeah.
iOS 7.
Yeah. Had to take a
Yeah.
night. Had to take a night
Yeah, so,
off to
I mean-
download the new iOS.
And then, of course, it's not like it didn't make sense that she was still there, but I was wondering during the whole confrontation with Rutger Hauer and when
Where is
Sebastian
she?
and
Yeah.
the Tyrell guy got killed, I was like, what happened to her? Is she still at his house? Did she just wander off?
Yeah.
She could have like gone with him and gone on this like adventure with him and helped him, but they
Could be.
decided to just have her not do
I mean,
anything.
he obviously needs her to hold the gun because she's a much better shot than he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to shoot Zara 5 times to kill her,
Yeah.
and she just kill shot to the head, just bam.
Yeah.
She has good aim.
I feel like at this point in the timeline, they would have figured out a better way to kill these things than to just shoot them a bunch.
Yeah,
with
it's-
a gun.
The
But-
It was
interesting
a special
thing.
gun.
The other
I
thing
guess.
that I
I
found
don't
interesting
know.
about this is their version of the future, which of course, as all 80s versions of the future, is so wrong.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, for
You know,
sure.
they totally missed the boat on certain things. They always assumed that Asia was going to take over the United States and like be so prevalent and
Oh, yeah.
like running
That
ads
makes
in
sense.
Japanese. And they on
Yeah, Back
most
to the
most
Future
80s
does that
shows,
too, yeah.
most 80s movies, and I think Total Recall does the same thing, and so does Running Man. All those ones that showed the future. They always assumed for some reason that people in Asia wanted to like move here and run our country when I'm sure they're much happier where they are than coming over and taking over our dystopian future. The technology, we've got flying cars, but no cell phones. He can't call for
Oh
backup.
my god, he uses a payphone. That
He uses a payphone to do a video call.
It's like the FaceTime
Yeah.
of their time.
How did they not think that we would have portable personal telephones by then? It's so crazy to what they assumed the future would be like.
I feel like in the 80s there was some kind of cell phone or car phone.
Car phones,
like,
yeah.
I mean, I know not everyday people had them, but they did exist, right? But no, he's going to use the payphone in the future. Not even like, let me use the phone at this bar.
But
Like,
that's
he uses
what
a payphone.
That's again kind of that timeless quality to it that I really enjoy. It's kind of like Dune or Star Wars. Everything is kind of medieval. How it's run governmentally, it's medieval, but it's also set where they have giant
Crazy technology.
boats that can have 1,000 ships on them. So it's kind of got its finger in both pies, which is why I really like it. It's got limitations in a way that we're still people, we're still eating noodles. Noodles have not gotten any better. They look the same. But, you know, we've gotten so far with space travel and teleportation and all the other things.
Robots.
But other things have just stayed exactly the same. She doesn't want to meet you for a drink. Get over it.
It's all,
I love that.
and it's a very analog world. Like, they did not anticipate digital technology at all.
And did you know about the whole brand curse? What's called the curse of Blade Runner?
What?
And I only knew this as of this morning. All of the brands that are featured heavily in the movie tanked soon after the movie.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, it was right before New Coke.
Yeah.
And there was like a ton of Coca-Cola at the
I
time.
literally have in my notes is this movie sponsored by Coke.
Coca-Cola,
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of Coke.
They showed that Coke billboard twice, and I'm like, Coke, why are
Atari.
you choosing?
Atari
Yeah.
tanked after that. Panasonic went down.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, and Pan Am.
Pan
I saw
Am
Pan Am building in the
went down.
future.
All
Yeah.
of those.
Wow.
I was just
All
like, why
of
would
those
you
brands.
choose this movie to advertise in anyways? You know, Coca-Cola.
We're still
Rise
gonna-
up, defeat your masters, and taste a refreshing Coca-Cola.
Take your happy pill.
Yeah.
Are you a replicant on the run? Fly Pan Am. Yeah, I don't understand why any company would sponsor a film like
It's
this.
like a
where it's like,
dystopian future.
you don't
It's
want to
like,
be
It's not
everything
gonna
is
be
terrible,
associated with
but we
that.
still have Coke.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can maybe see Atari because it's video gamey. You can see people being into video games in this movie, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad choice.
Yeah, see,
hard and
Pepsi
wild.
made the right choice. They went with Back to the Future.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
There it
that
is.
was a much better,
And history
better
proved.
choice there.
Best.
Something that sometimes distracts me is when a movie deals with the future and they pick the wrong horse as far as what's going to advance.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're going to have flying cars, but we're still going to be using payphones.
But the Nazis are going to run them.
I thought every time I see a flying car in a movie, I'm just, why? Why would that be an advantage to have
Because that's
your
what we've
car
always
fly?
talked about. We've always talked about flying cars.
That's just so dangerous. Like, that's
Yeah.
never going to
And
happen.
you notice
it
that
shouldn't
they were
happen.
flying like over, under, not like
Yeah,
side by side. That
yeah.
made me so much more nervous.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Why would we want that? Why would we want the cars to fly?
So
I
it makes
don't want
better
them to
chase
fly.
sequences in films later on.
So anyone can be a pilot in a
I
movie.
mean, I don't want to like unravel the whole premise of the movie, but I just didn't understand why make the robots so human-like. If all you want them to do is
Move heavy
slave labor,
stuff, yeah.
sort of like,
Why not just make them
do
like-
they need to look like humans? Why give them human emotion? Why make them
Pleasure models.
think that they're? Why not just make
Terminators?
assembly lines? Sort
Wall-E.
of like
Just make
yeah,
a lot
like,
of
you know,
Yeah.
yeah. Why do that? Why? And then it's like, well, now we can't tell who's a robot and who's not. Well, you created
You
this
created that
problem
mess.
Yeah.
Totally.
for no reason.
Totally.
You just
Right.
wanted to use your eyeball technology so badly.
Yeah.
And that poor guy that gets... does he
James
get
Bond.
killed?
Yes.
Oh, that was just hard.
Eyeball guy.
And oh my God, he looks so old.
He was very
And-
old.
But he's super young. And yes,
Yeah,
James
because he's
Bond.
old now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny though?
He
Because
played-
like he's always been old looking to us because he played an older character when he was younger.
Yeah.
And now he actually looks like that.
And wasn't he Cassandra's dad in Wayne's World?
Was it that?
Yeah.
same
It's
guy?
And
James
he's
Bond.
played Ming-Na Wen's dad in 4
he
different
just
things.
got his
He
got
plays
his
the same kind of role.
star on the Walk of the
I saw that.
Hall
Yeah,
of
that was a
Fame.
recent thing. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah, but now he really is old.
Taya Leone posted that on Instagram.
Yeah.
Taya Leone?
No.
Or Tia Carrera?
Tia Carrera. I'm going to start over. We're going to cut that out. Tia Carrera posted that on Instagram.
Please leave it
It's
in.
all staying on. Leave it
Taya
for the
Leone, star of Madam Secretary,
Tia
came out for James
Carrera.
Bond's
We'll leave that for the
Walk of
extended
Fame
cut of this episode.
ceremony.
Tia Carrera from Wayne's World, Cassandra, and she was the one that posted that. Thank you. I don't even follow
Which,
Tia
I mean,
Leone.
and there is a sketch from Saturday Night Live. Have you ever seen The Californians, where it's Kristen Wiig and Bill
yeah.
Hader?
Yeah.
And they talk in these accents, and everything they say is regards to Los Angeles Transit.
Yeah.
It's like,
We're
oh,
gonna
it's
take
at
the
the far
405
side.
to the whatever.
And she's
yeah.
like, I saw Tia Carrera. She was there with Taya Leone.
Oh, well, there you go. See? I guess I must have pulled that from somewhere in my brain.
Maybe they're best friends in real life. We have no idea.
Maybe they're worst enemies in real life.
I mean, if I was Taya Leone and there was an actress named Tia Carrera, I would be like, I want to know you. I want to find out who you are. What's your deal?
Right?
Anyway.
I like Tia Carrera. She's awesome. She plays. She's in Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Good
And
series.
that was my favorite part of this movie.
Was Lilo and Stitch?
I don't know. What are we doing?
Is this for the podcast?
Oh, no, it's very much against
You're
the
going to be
podcast,
cutting
but
out
we're.
a lot of this one.
I
This is
know.
gone off
We'll
the
make
rails.
we're already gonna be making an extended cut for this one. Don't you worry.
Okay, so back to Blade Runner, which features none of the people we've just been talking about, except for James Hong.
The dad. Yeah,
But yes, Tia Carrera and Taya Leone have nothing to do with the making of this movie, and I think that really is the biggest tragedy of it.
I mean, I would have loved to see them in this.
I'm sure they were both like in high school then, but you know, it would have been nice if they were in it. Anyway, so do you have anything else to talk about with regards to the eyebrows in this movie, Jennifer? I know you have some stuff to say about the hair.
Is that the segment we were on?
Yeah,
Has
eyebrows.
this all been eyebrows?
No, this is what it was like to watch. Which eyebrows is the end of that segment.
Oh, gotcha.
Sebastian has magic marker eyebrows, like
yeah.
literally painted on with a magic marker. That was my biggest eyebrow note. Yeah.
Did you like, because we usually lump hair in with eyebrows.
Yeah.
Did you like how Sean Young took down her hair and her bangs magically disappeared?
Yeah.
And suddenly everything was curly. And I was like,
She didn't
wow.
have bangs. It was pinned up.
Yeah, it was pinned.
She
I thought it was,
Bangs.
I thought it was
40s.
folded
No,
down.
no. It was like one of those
style,
extensive victory
where
rolls.
you roll
Yeah.
your hair up and then
Oh,
She always
it looked
had
like
long
bangs
hair.
to me.
Yeah.
But
No.
also, it went from being like super duper straight styled to super curly. in
Yeah, no,
5
she definitely
seconds.
had some hairspray in it, but then all of a sudden,
yeah.
like, it was fine. But maybe robots have better hair than us. We don't
And
know.
you know,
Yeah.
like those kind of things always really distract me from a movie because, as you know, Jennifer, there have been times when our mother has put her hair in a ponytail with hairspray and then she takes the ponytail out and the hair doesn't relax.
Right.
Are you
but
serious?
in movies, that happens all the time. You just like, oh, I'm
Gives you
just
kind of
gonna put my hair down
a,
and
it's the Ben Franklin effect. Like, it doesn't come all the way down, but it's just sort of
not
like
quite a
slowly
mullet,
spreads out.
but sort of, yeah. Like,
Yeah, like the indentation is still there if you do a ponytail with hairspray. It
I think
doesn't.
that happens with every lady.
Probably.
Well, and
it?
I think
Yes.
Daryl Hannah's hair was pretty wild. I liked
Oh,
her, like,
the
kind
sopping
of
wet
shaggy,
shag look?
sort
But
of.
it looked like
It
a
was-
wig the whole
yeah,
time.
Yeah, it looked like something out of an 80s music video. It was very 80s, I feel like.
Yeah,
I
and-
feel like that was something that not necessarily regular everyday people had their hair like that in the 80s, but definitely women in music videos did.
Yeah, it was very punk.
Yeah.
Like Joanna Cassidy's hair, it's braided and like very tightly pulled up, and then she takes it down, and it was the most 80s haircut I've ever
How
seen.
fun was the
She
blow
looked like
dryer?
she
the
just
future
showed-
blow dryer. That
That was pretty cool.
I thought that was wild.
That blow dryer was so cool.
It's a good way to blow it and just keep it all going down. But yeah, she looked like she just stepped off the set of Charlie's Angels after that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the hype of this film. And we want to know, does it live up to the hype? We're going to ask our guest first, what do you think? Does it still hold up? Is it as good as people say it is? Do you think it's as good as people say it is?
I think it's better than people say it is.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the kids now that are watching the newer one, the sequel story, are going to have to revisit the original from 82. And I think they're going to love it. I think that anyone that has an appreciation for the term sci-fi noir would have to watch this movie as a principle. It's just top 5, definitely. Like that Total Recall feeling of more human than human, right? That's the Tyrell slogan. And I think that that story is going to be told until we're all dead.
And replaced by robots.
And replaced by robots, obviously. Who's human? What makes us human? And what makes the people who are human not human? The choices that we make, the things that we do. It's very interesting because that theme will probably be continued in storytelling until the end of time. And I think that's what the hype is of this story. It's all about an android and whether or not can an android love, can an android hate, can they learn, and can people do the same thing?
How about you, Max?
Yeah, I would say I have to agree. I think this is one of those that exceeds the hype mostly because it's kept secret almost. It's popular amongst the people who it's popular amongst, but it's not like they're hitting the streets with banners saying, you must watch this movie. I can't believe you haven't seen it. I'm going to quote it at you. There's only like really one thing that I find quotable.
It probably
in the
had a
movie.
big spike. Sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you.
Oh, no,
Probably had a
fine.
big spike because Rutger Hauer just passed away.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm hoping people revisited that at least because it was one of his finer.
But if they ever remake it, they can put Mads Mikkelsen in it, and people will be like, yeah.
It's
Or
true.
Johnny Depp, or put Johnny Depp and then replace him with Mads Mikkelsen.
Ooh.
Burn.
Yeah, but this isn't one of those that people are like all up in my face about. So yeah, it's definitely better than the hype is for it. I feel like this movie has an advertising problem almost because it's one of those where until you know, you don't really know what it is.
How about you, Jennifer?
I hear everything you guys are saying, but for me, it's going to be a no.
Fair.
It's not for me. I totally get why someone that's into these kinds of movies would like it.
Yeah.
But this is not a genre that appeals to
to me? I'm going to say no, but I feel like if you know me and you know the kinds of movies I like, you're probably not going to suggest this one to me anyway. But I feel like for people that are into these kinds of sci-fi, it's a good example of that. It's just not my thing.
And I will say that this is a movie that you have to be in the right mood to watch too, which I was not.
I was talking to somebody about that, and that's what they said.
You have to be in the mood.
The first time I watched it, I hated it, but then I watched it and I was in the right space and I did like it. So.
And I will say I was not in the right mood for this movie when I was watching it, and I just sort of had to force myself to look at it through the lens. It's just like, okay, look at it objectively. Is it good or is it bad? It's pretty good. I think it's pretty good.
Part of the reason I probably have avoided watching this movie until now is dystopian futures are not necessarily something I enjoy looking at, but also knowing as I do the history of the multiple cuts and, this one was bad, so they redid it, and then they redid it again. And I was like, well, if it's really that good,
right, kind of sounds like
it wouldn't have had to be remade so much.
Hear that story,
And the one thing I did forget to bring up earlier in our earlier section is I've heard over the years that there are versions of this movie where you question whether or not Harrison Ford's character is a replicant.
I
feel like I didn't get that idea from this version.
Oh, no, I did. There was a point in the movie where I thought that was going to be what the ending was, but then it didn't end like that.
Sometime in the 2000s, Ridley Scott said he's a replicant.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford was like, nope.
No, he's not.
Nope. And they've had this kind of like cantankerous relationship already. And I think that's like where it is now, is that one says this and the other one says that.
But I wouldn't have been surprised if that had been like a surprise reveal. Knowing that that was a possibility going in.
It's always in your back pocket.
I was looking for clues that he was, and I didn't really see anything.
There was a moment where the thought popped into my head when Prissy jumps on top.
Prissy? What do you know
Prissy,
her?
Priss. My first thought on Priss was, oh my goodness, I hate Priss as a name. Please make it Prissy or Priscilla. I don't know, there's something about the name hitting
like
my
piss.
brain. There's something about that name hitting my brain that I don't like. So she's Prissy.
Yeah.
Prissy jumps on top of Harrison Ford and like twists his head all the way around. And I'm like, oh, so he's just dead now? But no, he's fine.
No,
and that's when the thought popped into my head. Oh, is he just like a robot? And then I can't tell whether he's a robot or if this was just a weird edit sort of a deal.
Yeah, but then when they show the lower angle, they show him, you're seeing the side with his head coming out of her legs. Then they switch to his body on the other side of her legs. And it appears that he has turned his body around.
Just like a pirouette kind of thing.
Shifted and rolled over so that, which is a good counter
coverage.
move. It did look at first like she turned his head all the way around. But then they did show that
his torso
and his body had also rotated.
Are facing the correct way.
And she's probably strong enough that she could do that with just his head anyway. Because they all have weird super strength except for when they don't.
Right.
And also, she's got her fingers up his nose. And I was like, she's going to rip his nose off. But she lets him go and then runs away so she could do a little tumbling pass. And that's, of course, when he shoots her. Why didn't she just kill him?
Why did she do that? Why did she do that? That was
movie logic right there.
Wait, before I kill you, check out my round off back handspring.
First, I'm going to do my audition for Bring It On, the musical. And so that was weird to me. But I do think it's a very good movie. And the visuals, like you said, are really spectacular. It doesn't look anything like what Los Angeles looks like, but a lot of cool things to look at. The visual effects I felt were well done, even if the technology that they used in the future was super old, even by those standards. And it's the same thing with Alien. It's like, we're way in the future, but we're still typing on little keyboards. And
they use the same sounds too.
Yeah, they did. They totally did.
And there was
and a lot of the digital zoom and enhance stuff reminded me a lot of the computer graphics from Alien. I think it lives up to its reputation. I think it's better than I thought it was going to be. Still not my type of film, and certainly get anywhere close to my favorite Harrison Ford performances. But it was really good. I liked it, and I would be interested to follow this plot into the sequel movie.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
I'd be interested to find it out.
I took myself out to the cinema alone when I was living in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Just to make sure I saw it the way that I wanted to see it. Because it's really
supposedly
very good.
It's a very beautifully made film as well.
It is.
So maybe we'll do that someday.
Sounds good.
All right, let's move on to our next segment, the What Do You Mean You've Never Seen Awards.
Yes!
This is where we make up arbitrary things to award to this movie, and I'm so here for it.
Yes.
We always ask our guest our first question. Don't feel like you have to answer immediately.
Okay.
But is this movie better than the Muppet movie?
Which Muppet movie?
The Muppet
OG,
movie.
the Muppet movie.
Muppet movie.
Oh, that's not fair. It's like apples and oranges.
It
But
doesn't
you have
matter.
to
Does not
It's
matter.
just in your heart, is that a better movie than this one?
Yes. Should I leave?
And tell us
Should
why.
I get out?
No, but you must explain yourself.
All answers are valid.
I just think that if I had to choose between like an important piece of cinema, I would pick Blade Runner over the Muppets.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
All opinions are welcome here.
Yes.
I
About-
found out very, very recently that Blade Runner was my very first cinema experience. My dad
wow.
brought me when I was a month old
Wow.
to a movie theater with my mom, and he said I was very well behaved. I didn't make a sound, but he really wanted to see Blade Runner. He said it was very inappropriate that I was there.
Oh,
So I have a connection to Blade Runner. So sorry, Muppets.
that's good. That's fine.
There we go.
Anyone else have any big thoughts about the Muppet movie?
I think Miss Piggy would have done great in the Daryl Hannah role.
Is that your standard
Yes.
question?
Yes.
Yes, that is our standard question.
And that's your
We
level?
compare,
Like that's
we
the
compare
bar?
all movies to the Muppet movie.
That
We
is
do.
unbelievable.
It
guys.
is the Muppet movie as a standard of will always be good to watch, not like the best movie in the entire universe, but always watchable.
But also the best movie in the
Yeah.
entire
Yes.
universe.
And then
Watchable, entertaining, great songs.
the
Great
princess
characters.
the Princess Bride has sort of become our low standard of
As what Max says.
Yeah.
Are you
The
serious?
Muppet movie has the most realistic characters.
more
realistic
more
than
realistic
Sleepless in Seattle,
than
at least.
the characters in Sleepless in Seattle was my answer.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That Miss Piggy, she is true to life.
I
Yes.
do like to watch every movie and be like, who would I cast Miss Piggy as in this movie? That's kind of what I do with all movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Kermit would have been Sebastian for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Been great. Yeah.
Hi-oh. And then they would have been together, like hanging out at that house with all those creepy toys he built for himself.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing Miss Piggy with really cool shoulder pads.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
80s
yeah.
Miss Piggy for sure.
Okay.
Miss Piggy in the 80s was like top tier Miss Piggy.
Yeah, okay.
All right, Jennifer.
Yes, sir.
Name something you like better than this movie and something you like less.
Oh boy. Okay. Something I like better than this movie is just a really nice whiskey in a square glass. Like, you know.
With just a couple of those big cubes
I like
of ice.
the really giant ice cubes. Yeah, just the one big ice cube that takes up the whole glass. That's like a good time.
Or like the Death Star shaped ice cube.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. Something I like less than this movie would have to be when you're walking too much and you get like a blister on the back of your heel. And you can't really put a Band-Aid on it because, you know, it doesn't stay. That's not fun. I don't like that.
No, this movie was definitely more fun than that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, what about you, Max?
One thing that I like better than this movie is my existence without questioning my existence. I enjoy so much. I love not having existential crises commonly throughout my life. I'm great. I don't care about why I exist, and I'm just loving it. And I'm very satisfied, and I like that better than this movie. One thing that I like worse, that I hate more than that.
He's sounding more robotic with every
Are
word.
we sure that Max is not a robot? I'm starting to
Does
question.
not one thing that computes to my systems
Enhanced.
less good than this movie is an unshaken Polaroid picture.
Oh, yeah, you got to shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah, I don't care that it's bad for the picture. You gotta shake it.
have to.
You have to.
You have to. And the fact that they thought Polaroids were the pictures of the future.
Oh, yeah.
Again, backing the wrong horse. Do not pack Polaroid. All right, what about you, Emily? What's something you like better than this movie and something you like less than this movie?
Oh my gosh. I liked this movie more than stepping on a puddle in a sock.
Ooh, yeah.
That's
You
the
know, it
worst.
rains a lot in LA in this movie. That's maybe what threw me off.
That is the worst. And then you have wet
It doesn't
socks.
rain in LA that much.
No.
So that's weird.
I
Interesting
hate
choice.
having wet socks so much.
Wet socks
It's my
are
like one of,
terrible.
that is legit one of my least favorite things in this world is when your
yeah.
socks get wet and then you just have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like that time we went to Disneyland and you and my mom got super wet on Splash
No,
Mountain.
but that was worse because that was my whole body. That was like I was wearing jeans. I wore jeans on Splash Mountain. Then we were like still walking around and I was soaking wet in these just very wet jeans and everything was chafing. And also all of the water was evaporating, so I was also freezing.
Oh, no.
And I was just having the worst time. And I kept turning to Jonathan and being like, Jonathan, I'm hating this. I need pants.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, you
We
know.
need to get me pants. Where do I get pants?
Send them to the
And
pants store.
I kept complaining because like one of my socks was wet. But I'm telling
I
you,
love you so much.
sat
I was about to tear your head off because you were like, yeah, my socks are wet too. I'm just like,
just one was really wet. One
you were
was
just like,
just
yeah,
slightly
one of my
wet.
socks is wet. I'm just like, ah!
Yeah, I honestly, I
turned
can tell
into a
you,
monster.
Tell you this, ladies,
I
and I
was
can
a
tell you
monster.
this, listeners at home. I have never seen two human beings more wet in my life. And I used to work at a water show.
Yeah.
There is no way these two people could have been more wet. If you had dipped them in the water and pulled them back out, they would not have been more wet. Just every splash landed completely and totally on them. And then when we got to the final drop, again, this is for the podcast. We got to the final drop. It was like a wall of water that our boat just like smashed straight through.
Yeah.
But because I was sitting third in line, I got the least wet. So I liked that better.
And you were laughing
I like the fact that I
maniacally
got the least
entire
wet better than this
time.
movie.
You were laughing at us, laughing your face off, and then you were like, let's go get soup.
We did get soup.
We did
It was
go get
good.
soup afterwards, and I couldn't enjoy it because I was so wet. I was like, I'm so wet. We can't be eating right now. I need to fix how wet I am.
Yes.
Anyways.
So, and Emily, we need to hear your thing that you like more than this movie.
Oh, yes.
If there is anything on earth you like more.
Oh, I like lots of things. You know, I really liked the fact that Roger Deakins won the Oscar with the
new one?
The new one.
That's cool.
That was really fantastic. In fact, I remember watching that when I was on tour in Europe and I had illegally downloaded somehow to stream the Oscars. And I was really, really happy for him.
Yeah. Because
That was pretty cool.
been nominated like
He'd been nominated like
1,000
12
times.
12 times, something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
So yeah, good for you, Roger. Yeah, I definitely liked being the only one that didn't get super wet on Splash Mountain better than this movie.
Great.
Brag.
It's a funny
Yeah,
flex.
it's-
but
I wear it
okay.
as a badge of honor. Something I like less was having to go get new tires lately. I had to get new tires.
They're
All
so
four
expensive.
tires
4 new
replaced.
tires.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on a minivan.
Too
So they're
bad your
bigger
car
tires.
doesn't fly. Maybe that's the advantage of a flying car.
You save money on tires. I mean, then you just spend all the money on
I take
that.
back everything I said about flying cars.
But I actually did have something that I in mind in advance that I wanted to say that I liked better, which was Max and I just yesterday watched all of Heartstopper on Netflix, and like that was I want to say the balm, like the BALM, not the bomb. Like it didn't blow me up.
I'm really glad
It was
you
like
The bomb,
it was
yo.
like the
It was funky fresh.
it was so good. Just exactly the kind of
Yeah.
like sweetness and joy and happiness that I needed in my life. Oh my gosh. And we sat through all 8 episodes.
We binged
We spent
it.
hours on it. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
And I totally recommend
Straight
it.
through.
Anyone who's listening, if you haven't watched it already, and it's already been out for like a month.
Yeah.
But if you haven't watched it already, do yourself a favor. Set aside some time because you're not going to want to just watch one episode and
Oh,
then
yeah.
go away and then come back. You're going to want to, like, this. It's just a continuous story that's
episodes
split
is
up
it?
into, it's like 8 episodes that
Yeah.
are around 25 minutes long. All right, let's rate the movie.
Yeah.
The game we play here is you have to pick a metric that is related to the movie, and then you give it however many out of 5. We'll let Jennifer go first so you can think about what your metric's going to be. And we're going to put you on the spot, Jennifer. Give us a metric and tell us how many it gets.
I'm going to give this movie 2 out of 5 robot snakes that they want to be real, but apparently real snakes are too expensive, and Harrison Ford was not afraid of the snakes, which I was hoping he would be. It's just not for me, you guys. It's just not my type of movie. Didn't enjoy it. Was not an enjoyable watch for me. Too many eyeballs. Didn't love that. It was nice to see Daryl Hannah and Harrison Ford, and the story was a little more interesting than I was expected it was going to be going in, but still not my fave. Sorry.
How about you, Max?
Yeah, I'd give this movie a 4 to a 4.5. Here's Johnny Roy's head through a wall moments. Yeah, it's really good. Could have had more Muppets.
So many more Muppets.
Could have had more Muppets. The pacing could have been a little bit quicker. I don't know. There's some things that were a little bit too slow for me. There's like a point where they're doing that final face-off battle between Roy and Harrison Ford where I like spaced out for a good 5 minutes and then spaced back in and I was like, oh, we're still doing this? Okay. Yeah.
It does go on a little longer than it
that
should.
scene is very long. I could have done a little bit less there, but otherwise very good.
All right. What do do you got for us, Emily?
I'm going to have to give it a 4.8 owl out of 5 owls.
Oh,
Yes.
those
forgot about the
replicated
owl. The
owls.
owls.
Robo-owls.
Because the owls, original story, owls are the first animals that go completely extinct on planet Earth.
Oh.
So that's why.
R.I.P.
Oh, who catches all the mice?
Who?
I guess the cats.
Who? Sorry.
Who let the owls out? Who?
Oh boy.
This is the kind of commentary you're coming for, ladies
This
and gentlemen.
episode has gone so off the rails. We usually stay on topic. We're usually pretty good about it. Not this one.
Yeah, I'm going to give this movie 3 out of 5 broken Harrison Ford fingers.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was-
Can you
that was
really
a
just
very-
snap your finger back in place? I wrote that in my notes. Like, is that a thing that you can do?
I don't
It
know.
didn't look
I don't
real.
know.
I don't know.
I don't know. If they like dislocated it at the knuckle, I guess you could. I mean, if it snapped the bone, I don't think that would work. But he does put a splint on it. Yeah, it was a good movie. It was better than I expected. Again, it was visually very interesting. There were some things that, for my personal tastes, took me out of the narrative. And where's my Indiana Jones Harrison Ford? He would have kicked this guy's butt or just
But
shot
that's
him.
the point.
And he's not
I
a
wanna-
good shooter
I'm
either.
too far away to
He's a
hit
bad
you, but
shot.
that's why I think you set up the microphones far away because we can't hit each other.
Yes.
It's the fact that he pulls so many wimpy faces. There's like 6 times that you can pause this movie where he's just pulling the dumbest face.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag
Yes.
not my Harrison Ford. Didn't love it.
No.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
I mean, it's good to see his range.
Yeah.
But I much prefer him in his heroic, or even like his
Yeah.
Han Solo,
Charming.
reluctant hero,
Smarmy.
charming,
Smarmy,
smarmy.
yeah. Okay.
kind of
Yeah, he
roles.
took his shirt off, and it's just like, not today, Harrison Ford. Put those
To
away.
be
Fair
fair,
enough.
I like when I have seen Harrison Ford in the rare interview that he does, this is how he is. Very mellow. Don't enjoy that. I like a more dynamic Harrison.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it when they make him do stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
When he does
so
action.
let's move on to our final thoughts and feelings about the movie. I feel like I've pretty much said everything I needed to say about this, but
I'm
does
sure
anyone
I-
have any notes that they want to share still?
I'm sure I have
All right,
plenty. Let's-
Emily put her hand up, so she goes first.
I was just going to mention that during my research for this podcast, I found that this movie ultimately suffered at the box office when it came out because of E.T.
Oh yeah,
And so
Same
did
year.
The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing was also released in 82. And it's just very interesting to me because there are a lot of parallels between this movie and John Carpenter's The Thing, especially the way that it ends, where you don't know Harrison Ford is a replicant or not. You don't know if Kurt Russell is the Thing or not. They both end with you kind of going, is that gleam in his eye because he's a human or is it because he's not human? And I just realized like that's a really interesting way to leave a movie. And they both kind of leave you in that same mindset, which is fascinating to me. And it also sucks because I also like E.T., so I feel bad for all involved.
Yeah, it's a shame people didn't have more money to spend on movies back then.
Yeah.
Or maybe there were probably fewer theaters, so you know,
Timmy
less
and Tommy, you only
opportunities.
get one movie this weekend. What's it gonna be?
Oh, they're gonna go E.T. Obviously.
Yeah.
He's the extraterrestrial. He's extra. It's in the title.
Extra. Very extra.
He's so extra. Which that is a movie we will be covering in the next few weeks on this podcast because it is coming out in theaters again in IMAX.
No.
Yes, and so is Jaws.
Oh, I'm more excited about Jaws.
Yes,
That's
so
really cool.
Both we are
Not
doing for the
seen
podcast.
either one of them.
Yeah. So we're gonna do it on the podcast.
Yep. We're gonna review the movie and then
This
we're gonna
is
go
why
see
they
it in
have
IMAX.
me as their
Wow.
third co-host.
That's
'cause I've seen
fantastic.
nothing.
But
It's
that's
like
also
100
a really good
Yeah.
perspective to have because
Yes.
you're coming into it not knowing all the stuff that we're thinking of or already know.
Yeah.
You have like a brand new, fresh perspective.
And I mean, some of these movies, I have a pretty good handle on what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know probably most of what happens in E.T. I know all the iconic scenes, but have I ever sat down and watched it start to finish? No.
People that are out there that haven't seen a lot of these popular movies, if you want to come on our show, we love
Email
having
us.
guests. We
Everyone
love
is
having
Email
guests.
us,
welcome.
comment on Instagram.
Yeah. All right, Max, final thoughts.
Oh, I have plenty. This is definitely going to be one of those where I just run through my stray notes rapid fire.
If you could do it in a robot voice, that would be extra special.
Let's go through all of my spare notes. Let's talk about Harrison Ford's robosexuality. He was very tentative. He's just like, oh, is this really happening? But no, he's got pride. Happy Pride Month. We saw so much Harrison Ford. We saw Robosexual Ford. We saw Sadison Ford. We saw Unicorn Harrison Ford stuff. What else? There were sexy Jason dancers. Sexy dancers with Jason masks, which were so off-putting. Fantastic.
Yeah, those go-go dancers.
Go-go dancers and just like hockey
wearing
masks.
hockey masks. Yeah, that was
What
creepy.
is happening? I wrote, this replicant on replicant violence has got to end. I forget what it's about, but I wrote it. I sure did.
Is it because Sean Young shot that guy in the head?
Apparently, I don't really care about Rachel, the sad space receptionist, playing with her hair. She played with her hair for a very long time, and I wrote down.
And also, it's spelled Rachel, which I hate that spelling.
Oh, is it okay? I didn't spell it like that.
Unbelievable.
Believe it.
Let's skip the rest of it and just go to, why is this movie called Blade Runner? I get that they are Blade Runners. Why are they called Blade Runners?
I think it's because it's a cool sounding word.
Are they runners? Do they have blades?
You know, I really want to read the novel that it's based on because I found out that they don't even use the word replicant in the novel.
Yeah.
That was a thing that came directly out of the film because they knew that whatever they used in the movie, they were going to probably sound hokey in the movie.
Well, I have a feeling that this is going to be very much like an iRobot type situation, and this movie is very similar to iRobot in a lot of ways, where the novel that it's based on is just completely different from what they actually did.
Yeah, I was reading the Wikipedia page on this movie earlier, and come to find out that the writer, Fancher, found a cinema treatment by William S. Burroughs for Alan E. Norse's novel The Blade Runner, all one word, titled Blade Runner, 2 words, a movie. Scott liked the name, Ridley Scott liked it, so they obtained the rights to the titles. They just liked the name.
Yeah.
And then put it in the movie.
Like I said, there's no blades and very little running, so I don't know why he's a Blade Runner.
Oh,
Don't get it.
and I do have one more thing. In that final battle sequence between Roy and Harrison Ford, I must have missed it or something, but where do Roy's clothes go? At one point, I just looked up, and he's just like in his underwear. What just happened to his clothes? Did they just like explode off
Did you
of
see him
at
put
one
the
point?
nail through his hand? Did you remember
I
that
saw
part?
that. I remember
Okay.
that. Does he get a nail through his hand and he's just like, ugh,
No,
these clothes.
he's starting to die. His
Oh.
time is coming.
So his
he
clothes
puts
disappear?
Oh God. He puts the nail through his hand to get his hand to keep working, and then he uses it as a weapon. It's
Yeah.
just gross.
So
smart.
And then his clothes disappear?
I don't know what happened to his clothes.
What happened to his clothes?
I don't know what happened to his clothes.
They just like exploded off of him at some point in a split second, I
Yeah,
guess.
you just had to get him shirtless because Harrison Ford had already done it,
Yeah.
so someone else had
It's
to do
in
it.
the contract.
Harrison Ford was like, I'm not doing that for another scene.
It's in your 4-year
Rutger Hauer to do
contract.
it.
You must be shirtless.
All right, Emily, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with us about this movie?
Well, I'd like to say thank you so much for having me because this is like a really,
Oh, absolutely.
really
course.
nice treat for me. I don't get to normally go on this type of thing, and it's really nice just to be able to talk to other people about movies because I just love filmmaking and films.
You're welcome
we
back
will talk about it anytime.
Thank you.
One of my only final notes, which none of you are going to get except for Jonathan, was the shirt that Harrison Ford takes off is a Disney costuming shirt.
It certainly
Go check
is.
it out.
And it has a matching tie.
Yeah.
The tie is the same pattern as the shirt, so it doesn't even look like he's wearing a
Jonathan
tie.
and I used to have to wear when we worked at Disney. It's the exact same shirt.
Emily, we want to know if there's anything you want to plug or if you want our listeners to be able to reach you or follow you anywhere on your
Oh.
social media. If you're interested in sharing that information, it's up to you.
Sure. I mean, you can find me on Instagram at clowncar, 2 Ks, 2 Rs, or at The Real Miss Hesitation, which is a very big hint to where we work and what I do. And
What she does.
yes. So that's me on Instagram. And yeah, if you'd like to follow, go for it.
Amazing.
Do you have to approve people to follow you, or
I
is
sure
it
do.
automatic? Okay.
Well,
good.
no, Miss Hesitation will take anybody.
Yeah, she's
I'm
desperate,
desperate like
and
that.
hesitation.
It's absolutely true.
No hesitation about accepting friends.
That's what I should say.
very good.
That makes more sense.
All right, we'll put links to those in the description of this episode. So if you want to hear more about Emily's history working in the movie business, which is very interesting, or if you want to find out what she does, there's pictures, there's
Yes.
art. So go ahead and check those out. And thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so
We
much
really
for having me.
appreciate you making the time.
Yes.
Well, I just can't get over how the line is the Muppets.
the Muppets.
That's,
Oh, yeah.
That's
our
totally-
line in
It's
the sand.
explained in our Iron Man episode. If you want to listen to
I have. Is that released yet?
Yes,
Oh,
it got
good.
It is.
released
Okay.
today.
All right, but thank you so much, Emily. And,
Thank you.
And we hope to have you back soon, talking about maybe something you haven't seen yet. Maybe next time. Ooh.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thanks, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Now we're going to talk about our next movie. Drum roll, please. Our next film will be The Fast and the Furious. And I do have to, I had to put the emphasis on the these because there is a sequel to this movie which is just called Fast and Furious.
Yes.
We are not doing that movie. We are doing The Fast and the Furious.
That was
The
my,
original movie.
First one.
that was
The
my
first one.
nickname in college.
Oh, I'm excited to hear more about that later.
Okay.
Fine, please. When I'm not in the room. Thank you.
We'll send you the file, though. All right, so we are going to discuss The Fast and the Furious, the original film that started this insane juggernaut that is the Fast and the Furious franchise, which, full disclosure, I have not seen a single one of these movies.
I have not seen 1 second of any of these movies. I don't even know that I've seen a preview for any of them. I don't know how, but totally missed all of them.
I've seen rare scenes of these movies playing in a room, and I was like, no, and I left the room.
Yeah, and there are, as of this recording, 9 movies in this series, plus the spin-off,
Right.
The Hobbs and Shaw.
Which is The Rock and Jason Statham,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But I don't think either of them are in this one.
No.
Right.
Most of the people that are in the movies now are not in this one. In fact, there's a whole bunch of people that like came on and have left
Yeah.
in the interim. I think this one, it does star Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Jordana Brewster, I believe, is also in this one. She plays the sister. I don't know if Tyrese is in it yet or not. I don't feel like he is. I think he comes in like the second or the third one. So I don't know who else is in the movie.
Yeah.
But I know that this one is straight up just about drag racing, I think. And Paul Walker plays like a U.S. Marshal or some kind of a law enforcement dude.
It has something to do with pirated DVDs. I think that's the big part of the plot of this movie. I could be getting those details wrong, but I think that's right. I think that there's a lot of stolen DVDs or pirated DVDs. I think that that's part of the plot of this movie.
Is this the one where they like drive in tunnels under the Mexico-U.S. border?
I don't know.
Yeah. There's one where there's tunnels underneath.
I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of driving. It's going to be fast. It's going to be furious. We're going to be furious at how fast it is. And I don't know. I don't know
why that's so funny.
We are going to have a special guest on this one who has also not seen it. I had given him a big list, and this was one of the few he hadn't seen, and so that's why he wanted to do it. His name is John Pelkey. He's a really cool guy. He's a really good friend of mine. Jonathan and Max don't know him, but I think you guys are really going to like him. He is the announcer for the Disney races. So if you've ever done a Disney marathon or half marathon, he's one of the guys that's out in front doing all the announcing, warming up the crowd, all that. He also was the announcer for the Braves spring training games back when the Braves had their spring training at Disney.
Oh, at the Wild World of Sports.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of sports announcing. He's had radio shows. He's very, very smart. He's very, very funny. I think you guys are really going to like him. I'm really excited to have him on.
I feel like we're either going to love this experience or we're going to absolutely hate it.
Well, I'm going to love doing the podcast. I don't know if we're going to love the movie.
I don't anticipate liking this movie. I feel like we're getting ready for Welcome to the Fast and the Furious, where the cars all blow up and the points don't matter. Like, then the plot doesn't matter, I guess. Like, that's basically what I'm expecting diving into this
If it's
venture.
not furious enough, I'm going to be real upset.
I'm sure it'll be plenty of furious. It's going to be a bunch of dudes being like, oh, cars.
If it's just
I'm
like the fast
angry.
and like the kind of ticked off, I'm going to be real upset. It's got to be furious.
They must be really
I gotta
furious.
have some furiousness. Yeah.
Well, I feel like Paul Walker is undercover, so I imagine his cover eventually gets blown, and then Vin Diesel will probably be furious. But I don't know if Vin Diesel's range really goes to furious. I mean, it
feel
might
like
just go from mildly annoyed to just kind of annoyed.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how furious it makes us and see how fast.
He was obviously
see.
furious enough to not be in the second movie, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
we're probably going to end up having to go through all these movies over
I'm
the next
sure.
10 or 12 years.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe
sure.
like none of us have ever seen any of them, so good
Never
way to
have I
start.
ever.
And if you really are excited about us doing those, make sure you send us an email or
Yeah,
send
let
us
us
a
know.
WhatsApp message and let us know that this is the direction you want us to go in.
All right.
Because probably we might just do this one and stop. Who knows?
We'll
We'll
see.
see how much
We'll
we
see.
like it.
We'll see how intrigued we are and how
But,
invested we get in the Fast and Furious franchise.
But
Yes.
either way, the podcast episode will be good. 100%.
Oh,
for
absolutely. Okay, so that'll be it for this week's episode. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for liking and for subscribing. We want to encourage you to get in touch with us. If we start getting some emails from our fans telling us how great we are, we might actually read them on the podcast at some point.
Ooh.
So if you want to just send us an email making any suggestions, or if you have any thoughts on the movies that we've done or movies that you think we should do, or if you want to be a guest, or if you know someone who wants to be a guest, we're very happy to hear from you. And if you want to comment on our Facebook posts and Instagram posts and say nice things, we will
Only
appreciate
nice
that.
things, please. Thank you. And give us 5 stars too.
And give us those 5-star reviews and tell your friends, because that's how we get this podcast in front of more people's ears, and that's how we get to justify continue doing it. 'Cause
Absolutely.
we're not doing this just to hear ourselves talk, as much as we like listening to ourselves talk.
I am.
I feel like we're going to do it anyway.
Oh, of
Probably.
course.
We already got all the stuff for it. I mean, what are we going to do?
Yeah, we're past. I think we're past the Amazon return window now.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, thank you all for listening. Thank you for coming back and downloading the episodes. We really appreciate your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy the stuff we're putting out for you. Lots of fun, exciting stuff is coming. And thank you all very much for listening. And I'll pass it off to you all to say goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. Have a good night, day, wherever you are. But if you're in Blade Runner, it is night, so good night.
And it's raining, so stay dry.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
This episode of What Do You Mean You've Never Seen was edited by Jonathan Colon and Max Abelman. Our episodes and digital content are produced by Max Abelman. Your hosts are our writer, Jonathan Colon, producer, Max Abelman, and head of social media and community outreach, Jennifer Branch. All artwork for our show is created by James Alexander with Pleasant View Designs. Check the links in the description below for more information on how to follow the show and subscribe to our Patreon. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you at the movies.